Well, hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Wendy St. Hilaire, the Director of Strategic Partnerships here at Activated Insights. And joining me today is Chris Trump, COO of SwiftOps. We are so excited to be with you for the next 30 or 40 minutes. We're going to talk about how to drive meaningful change and transform your agency through the art of listening today. Along the way, we're going to bring in some trends that we see in home care agencies and then talk about how SwiftOps and Activated Insights can help you. Chris is with us, as you heard today. He is the President and Chief Operations Officer at SwiftOps. He's been at SwiftOps for about 6 years and been instrumental in helping the company see so much of its success. Chris, thanks for being here.
Thanks for allowing me to be here. I look forward to the discussion.
Yeah, me as well. With that, we'll kind of get started. Today, we're driving in, as you heard, to the power of feedback, how we truly listen, how we embrace it, and then how we use that to drive meaningful changes and processes within our agencies. More than that, we'll explore how feedback can elevate the experience for clients and caregivers. And then we'll look at the most popular trends paired with that data. And then we'll talk about how to break that down and really hopefully make that super easy to understand. We'll talk about things you might want to consider if you see a negative trend and strategic ideas on how to respond, as well as if you see positive trends, ways to respond there. And then we'll also talk about integrations that we have today with SwiftOps along the way. From an Activated Insights perspective, we've been around for about 16 years. Many of you may know us as Home Care Pulse. Our clients are typically home care agencies. If you're on the call today and you're a client of ours, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. If you're not a client and this is your first exposure to us, thanks for being here. We also appreciate that. From an organizational perspective, we are laser focused on the employee and patient journey or client journey with mission critical tools focused on improving that experience. From a company perspective, we offer recruitment tools, providing agencies with a unique opportunity to automate the front end recruitment process, a retention solution allowing agencies to identify at-risk employees and clients and reduce turnover. We also partner with thousands of agencies to provide ongoing client satisfaction surveys, as well as ongoing employee surveys, which has ultimately helped thousands of agencies not only keep their clients longer, but change agency turnover throughout their organization. And then finally, we round out that journey with a best of breed training solution. We focus on, organizational learning, certificates, as well as specialized learning paths through that journey. Chris, there are some clients or organizations on today's call that aren't as familiar with SwiftOps. So can you tell us a little bit more about SwiftOps as well?
Certainly. We are one of the operating system solutions in the home care space. Competitors being WellSky, Access Care, Elia Care, CareSmarts. So we prefer to be called an operating system because we're going to be that one-stop shop, right? Client record, caregiver record management, scheduling, gross payroll output, billing module reports, and then integrations. We have a lot of differentiators in our space. So if you're looking for what's our core, or where are we coming from, what's our angle, it is customization to your agency. Most of everything in SwiftOps can be built out to meet your needs, including forms and templates like care plans, assessments, and electronic forms, drop downs, things like that. Our caregiver app is second to none. Very, very powerful optimization for operational flow can go through there. And then we are the only software that provides live 24/7 support. So we do that out of Wichita, Kansas. That's where we're based. Our headquarters, our development team's in Jacksonville, Florida. And our real-time support, it was really our first crutch that was out there. And that's really what we're known for. If you ask about SwiftOps, no ticket backlog, immediate real-time response to your issues round the clock. So that very high level, that's what SwiftOps is all about. And again, I'm happy to be here and share some insights.
Absolutely. Well, we're happy to have you here. You've been a great partner of ours over the years. So, Chris, I want to really start to dive into some of the trends and then talk about, what we do from a listening perspective. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about the benchmarking report, which I know you love just as much as I do, right? It includes the largest data and insights collected through the home care agency. If you're on today's call and you participate in the benchmarking report, thank you. We are privileged to be the authoring body of of all that data and aggregate the data that you have. So without each agency participating, we wouldn't have that kind of we wouldn't have that type of insights throughout home care. This year, we have about 1,000 agencies that participated in the survey. So again, if you're on the call and you participated, thank you, thank you. Please anticipate that you should start to see your free or complimentary benchmarking reports come out for anybody that participated in the month of June. The report contains a treasure trove of data. The report is going to be over 200 pages this year, and it's broken out into several key sections, which are listed here on our screen. So sales and marketing, retention and recruitment, training, finance, operations. My whole point behind that is along the way today, we're going to bring in some of the trends that we've seen from a benchmarking perspective. And it's always really great to understand where those trends are coming from or why we're referencing them if you aren't familiar with us today. So Chris, next thing that we'll see is those breakout sessions start to happen in the summer. But in the meantime, I want to talk a little bit about shouts and whispers, and then talk a little bit about data that we see as it pertains to clients and caregivers. So one of the things that really, when I thought about today's webinar that stuck with me is reputations. So when we think about our reputations, shouts are obviously really loud. We know these as public reviews, and whispers obviously are just those quiet concerns shared behind the scenes. But oftentimes when I think about those shouts, those are the loudest, right? So think about anybody that just loves your agency and is promoting your agency through videos on your website or on your pamphlets or any of your marketing material or 5-star reviews on Google. Shouts can also obviously apply to those 1-star reviews that can really harm our reputation. And those whispers are often those things that we don't see. So those clients that often sometimes leave our agency without our knowledge on why they've left, or those caregivers that are leaving. Both tell a story and both deserve our attention. I want to talk about why that matters. From a home care perspective, we know that word of mouth referrals are really important. And this quantifies that. So today, about 20% of revenue for home care agencies in North America really comes from a client or their family. So that's pretty substantial. That's almost 1/5 of our revenue. And if we pair that in with caregivers and what they do from a word of mouth perspective, we're at 25%. So 1/4 of our revenue. And that matters, because what we know is home care is growing. It's growing at an exponential rate. Last year, we saw a growth rate in home care at 10.5%, guys. I have a hunch that we're going to see it go even higher this year. What we also know is customer acquisition cost is rising. And so why does that matter? Because obviously the cost of getting those clients in the door has gone up significantly. Last year, we saw a dramatic spike, rising to almost 800%. And we know that those word of mouth referrals cost us the least. So that's great news. In the past, we saw that hovering around the $580 to $600 range. And that's a super important metric. So with that, Chris, I'm going to kind of ask you a question or two. So from a SwiftOps perspective, is there any way how clients know what that is within your application? If I was a client using that, I would often wonder, what is my acquisition cost?
Right. Yeah. If you have a system, I hope that it has this in there. SwiftOps does, obviously. And a couple things. I love what you said about the benchmarking report, number one, and I think this data that's going to come forward validates that. If you haven't experienced it and you see it, and when it comes out, I highly urge you to attend anything that's covering it, to hear about it, to learn about it, and see how you could be a part of it next year. The data that's inside of there can help your team tremendously, whether you're a startup, whether you're just grinding, whether you've stagnated, or whether you're doing really well. You need to know these trends, nationwide, as well as what's affecting you in your region. It's just huge. For SwiftOps, we believed in it so much that we built a report inside of our system. We work with Activated Insights so that our subscribers can fill out the survey and pull the data from SwiftOps. We pull it for them, basically, is what happens. So that's number one. Two, word of mouth referrals, very, very big, right? To me, that's value. that is what I built SwiftOps on. It was just me in the beginning, and the way that we had really cornered subscriber growth was through word of mouth, was showing the value and working through our subscribers and working through our partners or family, right, that are out there. So with SwiftOps, it is important to have the data put in the right way in any system. If you can put in who the referral source is or track national alliances or even just, let's say, word of mouth referrals, and have that all be aggregated into reporting in your system. For example, in SwiftOps, we have things for revenue by source, by pay source, revenue by referral. We have customizable reporting that allows you to build out your own type of referral report you'd like, and then be able to have that kicked out to you on whatever recurrence in SwiftOps. We have that scheduling reporting as well. But that data is going to show you quickly probably some surprising things that you're spending a lot of time and money spreading yourself across to try and find different referral sources, building relationships. And sometimes we think that people we like the most are referring us the most. And that's not really the case, right? We like everybody, but, oh, I just really click with John, and John's great. But really over here, Mike has sent me 10 different people who have boosted my revenue and allowed me to hire more caregivers or retain my caregivers because now they have hours. And it's not, short shifts. These are 40-hour a week clients or whatever. Maybe they're living, maybe they're 24/7, and your profit margin's there to where you're able to see these things in your reporting as to where your revenue is coming from. Very, very important. Now, that cost of finding a client, that's all built into the software, right? So you're paying for the software, that's already built in. There's nothing there. Now, your referral tactics that are out there, sure, you could track these different things if you wanted to for your cost, whatever materials you're utilizing to market, things like that. And just make sure that all of that aligns in the way that you can see clearly who are the people you need to foster more, who are the people you have to have a tough conversation, right? And say, hey, what do I need to do? I always put it on myself. Well, where did I lose you on the value of what we do? And most of the time I hear maybe the same thing you do. We can't be exclusive. We can't just partner with you. That would cut off the rest of the people around us. I know these other agencies. That's fine. I'm not looking to be exclusive, but I'm looking to be your best possible partner because I know what's going to happen when they come to me. And that's how you all should feel as well. So putting in the data, though, critical. That is the big gap that I see is people will ask us, why can't I pull this report? Well, you didn't enter in any revenue by pay source. You didn't enter in any national alliances. You didn't tie any of your clients during that process of recruiting, because in SwiftOps, you can put everybody in SwiftOps. We don't charge you by client. You can have intake records, which are leads. You can have your active records, your on-pause records. But if you don't classify where they're going, you're not going to have that data.
I love that, right? So utilizing the system to its fullest functionality. The other thing that was really at its core, I think about is communication, Chris, and understanding our data. So this was stunning to me. So last year, the second reason why we saw clients leave agencies is because they believed another agency could offer them a higher level of care. If you're all wondering what was the first, it's because a client passed away. We can't fix that. But we can fix the second reason, which is those customers that are leaving agencies because they believe that another agency could offer them a higher level of care. Yet at the same time, and this is really stunning to me, right? Looking through the report, 26% of agencies, of providers are marked as completely meeting those family care goals. From a family perspective, once services are underway. I don't think that's true, Chris, right? This is a mission-driven field. I don't think that home care agencies aren't doing their job. What I think it is it just comes down to super simple things. We're all really busy, and we're not always slowing down to effectively communicate the care we're providing, and then the alternative services that we offer in home care. We've seen exponential growth rates, so it's like keeping up, right?
Right.
And I think when we don't see that, right, I think the families, they don't understand what's going on. They don't feel engaged in the process. And so from their perspective, care isn't happening. but it's not true. I think really the gap might be that communication.
I agree.
And
So
yeah,
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And again, your system can come into play to help you with that. So number one, changing condition is huge. And if you don't have some sort of process in place for tracking the changing condition of what's happening with the client, and I think you're dead right. I call it the whirlwind. So you get caught up in the whirlwind, and not that anyone means to do this, but you look at it as, oh, thankfully the caregiver showed up. Thankfully they actually used the app. Thankfully they recorded everything and wrote a narrative and didn't put anything weird in there. They're wacky that the client would see, right? And you're just excited the shift is over and it was done. But really, you don't know what's happening in there. So on top of having changing condition, for example, we have a customizable feature that you can create your own form for changing condition and set alerts on the answers so that every shift, the caregiver has to fill this out or they can't clock out. They won't get paid. There's nothing they can do. They can't get past it. And that comes back to the admin and alerts them whenever the answers are out of whack. So immediately you can jump into action. Now, on top of that, you need to be doing supervisory visits. You need to be going out and using, if your supervisory visit isn't customizable, then I feel bad for you, but ours is, and you can customize that to what you want that care to look like. Because at some point, someone needs to model the behavior that you want the caregiver to have and not allow them to go into the house and just wing it, right? Even the most tenured might have picked up some bad habits. So supervisory visits are a critical aspect as well. And you might pick up something on changing condition when you're there too. Now, on top of all that, families need visibility and they need transparency on that visibility and communication. So if you have a family portal, great. I understand not everyone's going to use it. Clients for sure, right? Maybe they're not comfortable with the technology, but the loved ones, the sons, the daughters, the grandkids, if they can get inside of a browser or app and see when grandma's schedule is or mom's schedule is or brothers, whatever it is, and if it has real-time updates, we can update the family portal. If I click that I just gave them a bed bath and what the notes are, in 1 second, it's in the family portal for them to see. That's optional, but it can be done. But if I can see the schedule, if I can see the invoices, if I can pay the invoices, if I could see the documents you're keeping on my grandma, if I could see the narrative and the notes, and I can request service, and I can securely communicate to you with a built-in messaging system so I don't have to call, that's going to give them this trust. And look at this value they're giving us. They know I'm seeing what's there, but that communication is there to be able for them to say, hey, I don't really care how they handled the dressing today. That didn't go well. He got agitated and they didn't care for it and it wasn't notated. I saw it wasn't notated. Now you can have, instead of a service break where they actually break off from you, you can have that in the moment coaching with the client or the loved one and in the moment coaching with the caregiver to help them. Because now the caregiver knows you're watching. So those are a lot of tools that are in our system. Obviously, if you don't have a system and you're on this and you're doing this manually, that's a lot of work. Can be done, but these tools can help you close the gap on what you see here. Because your value isn't going to come through just by providing service. You have to have the follow-up, the touch points, the tools, the technology, and visibility in front of the client. They see you or someone come in for supervisory visits, they know you care. They're just not being left with the caregiver, and that their voice is being heard.
agreed. And so I think about those systems, right? And how do we systemize, what's going on or how our clients are feeling or their families. I think about the gray tsunami of the aging population in America. We know home care agencies are growing. So it's a critical thing to think about systemization, right? And I can tell you, working here at Activated Insights, we have over 4,000 agencies that participate in our surveys that, really go out to clients and or caregivers and really talk to them or ask questions about their experiences. Oftentimes we can do that digitally or on the phone. But one of the things that I have to share is high performing agencies aren't perfect. What they're really good at is they're really good at spotting issues early and acting fast. And I think that's really the whole idea or premise, right, behind experience management, whether you use it here at Activated Insights or wherever you use it. It's a system for gathering honest, unbiased feedback from your clients and your staff. And you as an owner being able to pivot and listen to that and understand where to go from there. This was interesting. So 63% of agencies had to turn away a client last year at some point because they didn't have enough staff. And 44% of agencies had to do it consistently. So 63% had to turn away a client at some point, right? But 44% literally had to do that consistently because they were so busy, they didn't have the staff. And what we also know, and I don't think this is a surprise, but statistically on average, 43, almost 44, 43.8% of home-based care staff report that they feel prepared to take on a new client. So that's a huge deficit. Over half of your care staff within that first 100-day milestone isn't feeling confident to be able to go out and treat those new clients. So Chris, one of the things that you just mentioned were those supervisory visits and the sentiment around how important they are. It's absolutely true. And not only is it absolutely true, we're seeing it play out in the data, Chris. For most agencies, 40 are having 40 to 60% of their turnover happening within that first 100 days. And you might think about, why does that really matter? And it's simply really simple. If you've been at this for a while, you know why it matters, but they are a very costly employee because, on average, those employees, and we'll look at it next, right? If we have turnover in that first 100 days, they simply haven't serviced enough client hours to pay for the recruitment and retention, the recruitment costs that it took for them to arrive there. So if we're having, for an average agency, well, maybe larger agency, that's 58 employees, if we have an average turnover rate at 77%, that adds up, quite honestly. So when I think about that, what I think about is another stat that I had read is over 4.8 million direct care workers. And when I say that, what it means is in the United States. So we've got personal care aides, home health aides, nursing assistants. So we have over 4.8 million people that are dedicated to supporting our clients. And the interesting thing about that is that over half of them have no formal education beyond high school. So, we talked about over half of them are at a place where they're not feeling confident to see clients in the beginning. So those supervisory visits become vitally important to not only retaining our staff, but also training, right? So the other thing that's really important is to think about career ladders. If most of our staff or 50% of our staff entering in haven't had any formal training, offering them a career ladder offers a clear line of advancement opportunity for not only your agency, but also your staff. And it becomes a really big incentive. We'll talk about that in a minute. But today, across home care agencies in America, about 39 bring some type of career ladder. That is huge, right? Because if we think about that turnover narrative in America, you're likely, if you're a home care agency, you're likely doing a lot of interviewing. If you are offering career ladders, you are strategically offering an advantage based on what other agencies down the street aren't offering. So if you're doing this and you're offering career ladders for any of your staff, it's super important to talk about that at the very beginning, at the very first interview when you're talking to those caregivers before they even accept. The other thing that I want to talk about is those career ladders and offering them, offering them some clear advancement. We've talked a bit about the 39% of home-based care providers have an established career ladder path. Again, if you're doing a great job, but I would sincerely, if you're not doing it, start to think about offering some type of learning path. Are you offering learning paths? Are you doing anything different? Do you have any type of certifications that your caregivers can earn? We offer obviously specialized training here for end of life, infectious disease, Alzheimer's as well. But if you are an agency in America, you can also offer other types of things. By improving your employees' skills. Nearly 7 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's today. 1 out of 3 seniors dies of some form of dementia. So creating some type of learning path with certifications for them might be a good path. Another thing that I think about when I think about career ladders is your initial staff's onboarding. You can build a career ladder that sets your employees up for success. So you can do that by deciding training topics that they would like. And I'm really thinking more beyond the lines of compliance. Compliance is incredibly important, obviously, for the 18 states that require it. Super important. But you can also new hires can determine individual learnings and things along those lines. So you can set up different paths for them as well. After the initial first 3 months, you can absolutely think about offering other types of training for infectious control, safety, nutrition, communication skills, professional growth, customer care skills, and so much more. Through those, your caregivers have the opportunity. Oftentimes, you could offer them opportunities to earn certifications or those types of opportunities. And after 6 months, I would really recommend you to think about offering continued advancement for those employees to grow in your agency and go up the career ladder. One of the things that I think is pretty amazing is you can recognize those clients or caregivers at your meetings through certificates, verbal recognition. You can pay a bit more attention to them through milestones and offer additional PTO or days off. Oh, Chris, that's a lot. Had a lot going on there. Chris, I think that you have some gamification built into your system around functionality, quality bonuses, and things like that within SwiftOps.
We do. It's the beginning of the iceberg that we're rolling out. So right now, some things you can turn on that are optional that really speak to, one, how you can recruit and verbalize you have this to be a differentiator, but that you're going to reward them for certain things. The biggest one that people use is punctuality. You're able to set some parameters around, hey, if you work 8 shifts in this pay period and have 0 late arrivals, we'll pay you an extra 25 cents, 50 cents, $1 an hour, whatever it is, or a flat amount. You could provide them payment for their birthday, their anniversary, as well as kind of a quality caregiver of the week, caregiver of the month type thing. We have a larger gamification aspect rolling out soon, but that's the core foundation now, so that they at least know the right behaviors will get them something. And that's super important. The career track aspect, if you don't have something like a caregiver competency process or caregiver competency form, whether it's in your system, it's in SwiftOps, but or your current system or on paper, however you're doing it, you should incorporate that when you first hire them or you're looking to hire them, about not just what their skill set is and what type of clients can I match them with so I can fill these open shifts, but also that career ladder of what are they interested in? What do I see potentially for them? And then if you do the 3 month, 6 month, 9 month, 12 month, you can do these competencies over and over and make them shorter. Now you can get them into these developmental areas that Wendy's talking about. So those would be a couple of things that we have currently that can help if you want to use that in our technology.
I love that. Thank you. Gosh, I got my word jumbled up there. So thank you, Chris. Absolutely. Career ladders are incredibly important, but not just for getting certifications, as you mentioned, but utilizing any types of rewards or bonuses. I recently led a panel discussion, and one of the things that they talked about is, hey, for our caregivers that are actually going through certifications and completing trainings a little bit faster, we're giving them incentives, right? And so being able to give those incentives or recognize those incentives within our system that we're using is a huge advantage. I love the fact that you've been really forward thinking on that.
Yeah,
we
did that with you right now. So with Activated Insights integration for the training side, the e-learning side, you can award a bonus payment that automatically will pay them when they complete the course. Because that information comes from Activated Insight into SwiftOps, and then you basically have to verify so that you can mark it. It goes into their training folder for them. Very, very simple, nice, smooth, right through an API, and then they automatically will get paid that bonus, whatever it is, $25, $50. Just nice to know that their time and effort, right? People leave jobs because they don't see a future or they don't like the people, right? So it's either you change the people or you change the people. So if they you have a consistent problem with people complaining about your office staff, I saw a question about that. You might want to look at changing the people in your office staff. If you have consistent problems with just people coming in that just aren't skilled enough, there might be something in the aspect of who's recruiting and things like that. But overall, changing the people so that they develop is the best, obviously, effort. And if you can give them training, visibility to a career ladder, visibility to other jobs, other roles, shadow days. Oh, so you're a caregiver, but you want to be a scheduler. I'm not sure. Let them work next to a scheduler one day and shadow them and see how rough that is. See if they like it, right? So do these little things so that they say, hey, look, he's invested in me. She's invested in me. She's trying to get the best thing for me. I think I have a future here. And I don't think you'll lose as many people in that 100 days. I'm straight honest with people that come on and ask them, what do you want to do? Do you want my job? Do you want to be a vice president? Do you want to be in marketing? What do you want to do? Because if you want my job, great. I'll help you get there if you have that skill set, or we'll get you tools to try and see if that's a good fit. But at least they know, hey, I tell them the story. I am the first employee. So now I run the company, right? So that can't happen, right? I did a lot of work to get to that point, but they have to be able to see these things. And again, that's the whirlwind gets in our way, and you forget to tell people they're doing a good job or to reward them. That's why a system's important. You can automatically do that, but still needs that verbal love as well.
Absolutely. You're invested and you care, and that really matters. And it comes through. Makes a big difference. Obviously, you've heard Chris talk about it. We have obviously a training, best in class type of training application. We believe in not nickel and diming you as an organization. You have access to unlimited training options. If you're a newer agency, one of the things that's great there is we offer training unlimitedly for up to 10 seats, which is super competitive. But we're also dedicated to refreshing our content annually. And when I think about training, I think about it being more of the wild, wild west as it relates to federal standards. So from a state perspective, every state, as you know, is very different in regards to what's required. But we've been very committed from an RM perspective about building out a best-in-class course content library with over 500 classes in multiple languages, obviously English, Spanish, Chinese, and multi-language, being accessible over the web and mobile app. All of that to say, we want to make it as easy as possible for your caregivers to have training, and not only have training options, but training options that work and that are integrated, if you will. So Chris, I'm happy to help walk us through or have you talk through some of the integration options that are within SwiftOps.
So there's two right now that we have with Activated Insights. One is on the experience management, right, the surveys, and one is on the e-training. So they're all set up in our settings area, very simple. When you go inside of the settings area, there is a checkbox. You can click the next screen that allows for you to enable the integration. Typically, what happens then is we'll get notified you did that, and then we will contact you to get you to Activated Insights. Right? There's a form we fill out so they know you came from SwiftOps because we have special agreements with them, and they know that you're coming for the integration. And they have the conversation about the packages and all that. We don't do any of that, but we will get you over there so that they contact you. Once you enable the surveys, what's going to happen is your client and your caregiver records will sync from SwiftOps automatically over to Activated Insights. And it's basically giving Activated Insights the list of who to contact for those follow-up surveys for service. And those results then reside in Activated Insights. So instead of you having to put that all inside of their system, SwiftOps will do that for you. On the other side, e-training, it is coming from Activated Insights. Your course curriculum and who's taking the courses all comes over. Once it's enabled, there is a dashboard tile that we have for Activated Insights that takes you to a training dashboard. And it shows all in progress. It shows what courses are being taken. There's filters for all that. And when they complete the course, you can generate a certificate. That certificate is the last step where I mentioned then get paid. You get paid a bonus. But what's really nice is once you click the certificate, yes, they're good, created for them. SwiftOps will then automatically move that data into the caregiver's profile and put it into their training profile. So now you've got that record there. Now you have the reporting. So there's no double entry. Both systems are talking to each other. One is towards Activated Insights. The other is towards SwiftOps. And then we're looking at enhancing these APIs here in the near future.
I love it, Chris. I love it. So I love that. I'm going to just
here. That's a profile, and you're able to say which clients and caregivers go. I should have said that. They all don't have to go. You even can do it for inactive, because you might need someone that doesn't work for you anymore or doesn't have your service anymore, and you want to get them a survey, right? So you have the ability to do that as well. Now this here, we actually have what I call kind of a starter kit. So not everyone that we get is rolling in extra operational cash, right? So we get a lot of startups right out of the gate, and they're obviously have a tight budget. So we have an initial survey configuration in our system. Is very basic, but it is a survey that will go out on whatever recurrence you want. You can write up what it is, and it's one question, basically about how your service is on a 1 to 10 scale, and then it comes back and gives your caregivers a 5-star rating, wherever they fall. And it'll be aggregate, and that shows in smart matching and all of that. So that's kind of getting used to. This is a very baby step of, if you go to Activated Insights, they're going to give you the full-blown tool, right? That is going to be much, much more powerful for you. But this is kind of a nice starter step, so people get in the clients get in the used to getting surveys, and then you can just take it to the next level with Activated Insights.
Agreed. I love it. Yeah. I mean, the average conversation that we have with clients today is about 5 to 8 minutes, Chris. Isn't that crazy? In regards to the service that they offer, and then being able to share those insights on a dashboard and then start to trend them, right? Like, hey, I was just actually on with a client yesterday, and we were talking about their average satisfaction score, which is called an OSAT score, right? And in their case, it was a 9.0. They were really upset, Chris, because they had one bad survey. Actually, there was somebody in the QA that was actually talking about that. So absolutely, in some cases, you're going to get those negative reviews, and that stinks for all of us, especially whenever you're really grinding and working so hard, right? An agency out there that is receiving an average score of 9.0 out of 10 is doing amazing, and we want to celebrate that. But it's really frustrating as an agency owner if you get those sometimes scores. One of the things that you can do with Activated Insights is we have a support team just dedicated to answering questions about that. But you can turn them on to a do not call list. We can help you on updating some of your clients that are no longer active that should flow in, but sometimes there's questions about that. So want to talk about if there's questions there, but the good news is for those clients that we know are going to be problematic, we can't put them on a do not call list. You can also assign them to a representative. So for some reason you have somebody that's severely disabled or not able to take calls for some reason, you can pivot that to another family or caregiver or family member to be able to take that survey on their behalf. Another thing that I think is really important is being able to talk about why surveys are important and why data and insights are important. So really at the very front end in regards to getting a client, if you're one of those agencies that's getting, a 9.0 overall satisfaction score, that's amazing and super impressive. One of the things that we have is a Best of Home Care Awards here at Activated Insights. And if you win the very top award for Best of Home Care, you end up rated as one of the top 100 agencies in North America. That is something that you can celebrate and put on your marketing brochures. And even if you end up with, an overall satisfaction scores in the 8s, you can win other awards as well from a Best of Home Care perspective. And being able to celebrate that, talk about that with your clients or prospective clients is really important. With that, Chris, I want to open up a poll question for those on today's conversation that are not part of SwiftOps or Activated Insights. There should be a poll that would be popping up that's going to ask if you would like to learn more about the SwiftOps integration or Activated Insights. So if you do, please feel free to choose yes. And from that, Chris, I want to talk a little bit about just kind of closing up some final thoughts. My thoughts are, what separates agencies that grow versus ones that struggle. And I really believe it's not perfection. It's them being able to listen to feedback and react to that feedback and utilize that as a strategic advantage, and recognize that complaints or concerns or any types of feedback offers an area of improvement or areas that we can expand upon, right? And one of the things that I think about from a home care perspective is training, right? Not just meeting the minimum training, but also leveraging additional training tools or tools within our system that can really help us.
Yeah, I agree. And you were mentioning OSATs. Back in my career when I was in the corporate land, there was times where I was over 60, 65 locations, and it was net promoter scores, same thing, NPS, OSAT, same thing, right? Surveys. And the rule basically was if you got rated, it's on a 5-star rating, but if you got rated by a 1 or 2, then it would get elevated up to leadership, and those had to be addressed right away. Boy, the people that work with me, that were my leaders, they hated them because they'd have to call these clients and such. But I'll tell you what I did was I took it as I just know 2 things, and I think everyone knows this. People are either keyboard warriors or they're telephone tough guys, right? So they're going to say the honest, brutal truth when they don't think they're going to get a response from you. You can't take that personally. You have to look for the constructive aspect inside of it. And my approach always was to call them and just say, yeah, I apologize if you feel that we missed the beat, but I need to understand why. And I'd always say, I cannot tell you I'm going to solve your problem. I cannot tell you that I'll make this better for you, but I can tell you I'm going to listen to you. And I'll do everything that I can to try and bridge the gap, because I'd like to maintain you as a client. And if I can't, maybe we walk away friends and you have a better taste in your mouth. So I was able to save a lot of clients that were angry by just doing that conversation and then some legwork to try and bridge a gap of some hurt feelings or miscommunications. And others left and didn't leave me bad reviews after that and said, hey, they're not for me, but their leadership was top notch, or they still contacted me even though I wasn't happy with the service, and I still would refer them based on that. So look at your bad ratings or bad surveys or whatever it is as, in a way, positive feedback for you to be able to look at, is there a crack in my foundation? And how do I address that? Because if you do that in a positive nature and then actually be proactive to communicate about it, not get defensive about it, and be ready for people to yell at you, and just be able to stay calm, you're going to get a lot more out of those interactions. And people are going to respect that. There are some people, that won't, right? But people are going to respect that on the whole, and you're going to be able to close that gap a lot more, and your score is going to rise because your team's going to see you're behind these types of things as well.
Absolutely. Rising with the tide. Absolutely. So, your time is really valuable. We hope that you gained some type of knowledge today. Today, there is a free resource within today's webinar. If you click on that, it basically will give you information and insights on how to build a successful home-based care review campaign. If you'd like a copy, just hit yes in the poll and we'll send it your way. And with that, we'd like to thank you for your time today.
Thank you. I appreciate the time to talk to everybody. And if you're interested in Swift Ops, go to our website, reach out. There's contact us form or consultation calls.
Absolutely. Thank you all.